In this video, we're going to take a look at a blue ink by Atramentis Document Fog Grey. I don't get the name. As always, there's timestamps down below so you can skip around, but if you've got the time, I'd appreciate you checking out the entire video. Also, down in the description is a link to the blue ink playlist, so if you wanted to see more, you could find that there. I'm an ink guy, and let's get into the first writing sample done on 90 GSM Clairfontaine. No bleeding, no ghosting. Now we have no feather, spread, halo sheen, no shade. And the extra fine is only a little bit lighter than the stub, where the medium is just about the same tone as the stub. The extra fine took 3 seconds to dry, while the medium took 5. The scrubby for both are showing no color variation, which we don't get in the writing. And the smear test, you could not recover if you smeared while you were writing. To have a range of experience with this ink, all of the writing samples are done with a Jinhao 159 with a 1.1 stub, a Jinhao X450 with a medium, and a Jinhao X750 with an extra fine. Then a TWSBI Eco with a broad nib was inked up, used for day, and used to take the notes for this video. The next writing sample is done on 52 GSM Tomoe River. No bleeding, minor ghosting. We have no feather, spread, halo sheen, and no shade. This is a very straightforward ink. All of these are in the same tone. There's no variation. The extra fine took 6 seconds to dry, while the medium took 9 seconds to dry. Very fast dry time on this paper. The scrubby for both are giving us no color variation. We're not getting it in the writing. And the smear test, you could not recover if you smeared while you're writing. More a function of the paper than the ink. I agree with Vita. There's a lot to learn by doing multiple chromatographies. The one on the left is done the way it's supposed to be done. A line of ink is put down, and then it's put in the water for 10 to 15 seconds. Now, above and below where the line was put, you can see the outline of that thicker line, showing that it was going to bond very quickly. It does move up, and it is a very dark blue, so I don't know why they call it gray. The one on the right that's let dry for 10 minutes, it is completely bonded with the filter paper in only that amount of time, meaning we can expect this to be a very resistant ink. The next writing sample is done on 80 GSM Rhodia dot pad. No bleeding, but we have some minor ghosting, more in the medium. We have no feather, spread, halo sheen. We do get some spots of shading, like the in the extra fine looks a little bit darker. Over looks to go from light to dark. The K in quick looks a little darker than what's around it. The extra fine is lighter than the stub. The medium is just a little bit darker than the stub. Extra fine took 4 seconds to dry, while the medium took 6. The scrubby of the extra fine does show some color variation, and we are getting it. The medium shows none, where we get none. And the smear test, I do not think you could recover if you smeared while you were writing. Resistance tests are done to see how this ink can be expected to perform on the page, and more importantly, how hard it may be to clean from your pen. The smear is allowed to dry for 3 days before testing it. Looking at the highlighter, it handles itself very well. You should have no worries using this in a note-taking situation if you want to be able to go back and highlight. Water doesn't make it budge, not one bit. Pen flush barely starts to move some of the ink, and the 1/3 bleach solution is discoloring it a very neat green, to be honest. Now, it really only took water to get this out of my pen. The next writing sample is done on life paper. No bleeding, no ghosting. We have no feather, spread, halo sheen, and no shade, although the medium does come in darker than the extra fine or the stub, and they are in the same tone. The extra fine took 2 seconds to dry, and the medium took 3. Scrubby for both give us no color variation, and we're getting none. The smear test, you stand a decent chance of recovering this if you smeared while you're writing. For the inks tested, the average viscosity was 2.5, and the realm of normal was 2.1 to 2.9. Atramentis Document Fog Grey has a viscosity of 2.72, making it normal. If you're interested in how the viscosity tests are done and all of that stuff, then down in the description are links to that video. Now, let's take a look at Apica CD notebooks. No bleeding, no ghosting. We have no feather, spread, halo sheen, no shading. We do get some tone variation where the extra fine looks just a little bit lighter than the stub, and the medium is quite a bit darker than the stub and anything on the page. The extra fine took 2 seconds to dry, while the medium took 3. The scrubby for both showed us no color variation. We didn't get it in the writing. And the smear test you could recover if you smeared while you were writing. For the inks tested, the average dry time was 17 seconds, and the realm of normal was 13 to 21 seconds. The Atramentis Document Fog Grey has an average dry time of 6 seconds. This is a very fast drying ink. The last writing sample is done on Franklin Christoph paper. Now we get some spots that it's bleeding kind of deep into the paper. It is not coming through the paper, but it is quite deep. It wouldn't stop you from using the back of the page, and none of it comes anywhere near touching the page underneath. We have feathering in the stub. We have feathering in the extra fine. We have feathering in the medium. All of these feathers they're tiny, but they're there. We have no spread in the stub or the extra fine, but the medium looks like a broad. We have no halo, no sheen. As far as shading, we have a few spots in the extra fine, like the K in quick or the B in brown. The looks quite dark. We have quite a bit of tone variation where the extra fine's a lot lighter than the stub. The medium's darker than the extra fine, but not as dark as the stub. The extra fine took 1 second to dry, and the medium only took a second to dry. The scrubby for the extra fine shows some tone variation. We do get some. The medium shows none, where we got none. And the smear test you could recover if you smeared while you were writing. Instead of finding inks that look like the Atramentis Document Fog Grey, I'd prefer to find an ink that complements its color on the page. I decided to go with a red ink, and I chose Monteverde's Ruby. Now, if you'd prefer a different complement color, then down in the description is a link to those playlists. So what do I think of the Atramentis Document Fog Grey? I have let go in the past to a color not matching the name. I can't here. This is blue. Not a blue I care for, though. It does perform very well and is super permanent. It has a lot of spread in this particular notebook that I'm writing in, and this notebook is a Kikuyo Campus notebook. So it's good paper. So what nib and pen are going to give the best writing experience with this ink? With very little tone variation that happens by pen, as long as you're not getting a bunch of spread on that individual paper, I really don't think it matters what pen you put this into. It is a solid performer all the way across the board. So this one is very much a dealer's choice. I hope you got something out of this video, and in the next video, we're going to take a look at Private Reserve's DC Super Show Green.